Hi guys, welcome back to The Tell with Joelle. I am here with the one, the only Mama Troy.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in today. So nice seeing you. Of course, of course. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to you and just debrief and talk about your life. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're doing this.
Thank you. Okay, so let's just start out. Who are you? Where are you from?
I'm from San Diego. I'm a rude girl.
Absolutely.
Music-wise. And I was married to Bradley Nowell, the lead singer of Sublime, singer-songwriter who passed away in 1996, unfortunately. And I'm still, heavily involved with Sublime music and mostly the merchandise, T-shirts and anything else cool.
Absolutely.
And so this has been my life, but it's because of music that I met Bradley. I've been into music since I was about 14. I went to my first show.
What was your first show?
Madness.
Okay.
It's a two-tone ska band from England. And it was 1984. I was 14, and it was in the parking lot of the Jack Murphy Stadium, which is now gone. Oh, it's sad, but it's gone. But the tickets were 91 cents because 91X had just started, and that's a radio station that's still on the radio in San Diego. And it was in the parking lot, and we just all danced, and I was like, these are my people.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Felt like home.
Oh, yeah. It was the first thing I'd done without my parents,
Okay.
With my friends. It was really cool. And then I started going to shows after that and never stopped. Still go,
I feel like everybody remembers their first show. That's always going to be like so.
First one without your parents.
Yes, absolutely. I know, that's so true.
Yep.
So you grew up in San Diego. Where specifically?
Pacific Beach.
PB.
Girl, yep.
PB.
Yep. First started working on Garnet, which is the main drag.
Yep.
At a sushi bar in 1987.
Okay.
17. Ichiban. Everybody knew Ichiban. There was only 3 sushi bars in PB at the time. Now there's
Gazillion.
Yeah. It's just like
PB's always popping.
Tattoo shops too.
Yes. So many.
Yeah. So Ichiban was like the minute we opened, there'd be a line out the door until we closed. It was so stressful, but it was so good, and they fed us, and I loved it there. And
how old were you when you started working?
17.
17. Okay.
Yeah. So the owner's still, around, alive, Mr. Izuka-san. And whenever I do see him, if I go in the restaurant, he happens to be there. I always thank him for keeping us alive because, we lived off of tips, and I would just give my paycheck to my mom because it was not, it was minimum wage.
Yeah.
But we lived off tips, and they fed us every day.
That's so nice.
Before the shift or after the shift, and it was really cool. And then the cool thing about it was at the time, all the people would come in that would go to the clubs or ran the clubs, like the bouncers and the promoters.
Yeah.
And so they'd always put Ichiban girls on all the guest lists. So we'd go dancing all the time.
So you got to make connections through your work. That is so cool.
And
that's
for
fun.
me, like I was always into two-tone ska. And so for those who don't know, that was the second wave brought out from Jamaica, was where ska started in the 60s. And then it bled over into England.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge Jamaican population in England. And so they took on and they started two-tone ska, which was like Madness, The Specials, Selector. And that's what I was into. And then when that kind of stopped being played, or kind of, I don't know, for some reason it died
down.
And the California ska got popular. I didn't like it as much. I'm sorry.
Really?
But I mean, I have a lot of good friends and homies that are in those bands, and they're good bands, but it just didn't thrill me as much, for dancing. And the clubs weren't really playing it. It was more like live shows. Yeah. So then my natural progression was hip hop.
Got you.
So to go dancing was hip hop. And that was at a time when techno first started in house.
Yes.
And I would get so mad. There'd be like this really good hip hop DJ. We'd all be dancing and singing along. We knew the words. And then the next DJ would be like techno. And it was just, sorry.
Rave music?
I'm not sorry. Techno. It's like, it's not something you could play in your car and sing along to. And dance to. But most people can. I can't. So. But that's totally was my natural progression. So I have a huge love for hip hop too. So when I first heard Sublime, me and my friends, it was like, what is this? Because they were doing punk rock, hip hop, ska, and reggae. Everything that we were all listening to in the early 90s. And we were like,
what is this band?
So a friend had brought back a cassette. The boys, Sublime, played down at a surf spot down in Baja, Mexico. Yeah. And they would play on the sand. And then they'd go surf, and they'd give out cassettes from the trunk of their car. Yeah. And our one friend brought it back to Ocean Beach, which is another beach town in San Diego. Yes. And I think that one cassette we all copied. And that summer, every house party you went to, you heard Sublime. And all we knew is that they were from Long Beach. We didn't know what they looked like. So you got to remember, this is before internet, before
TikTok, Instagram.
Oh yeah, all of that. Before cell phones.
Yes.
So they had a huge following without even having all that network.
Yeah, because you had the cassettes and everybody knew them at the house
just word
parties.
of mouth, And they had a huge underground following. And so.
That's crazy. So if you're from PB, how did you meet Brad?
I met him, so it links back to the story of, our friend bringing back the cassette.
Okay.
Well, we have a weekly magazine in San Diego called The Reader. Mm-hmm. And it's where they show all the different shows that are coming up at all the clubs. And I would, it was religion, I would I'd get every Thursday and look and see what was coming up. And so that summer that we had that one cassette, I think it wasn't quite the 40 Ounce Freedom record. It was their independent one, but it had those songs on it.
Yeah.
And we see Sublime. No way, they're going to be playing in San Diego. And they were playing at this place called Winters, which is a heavy metal bar.
Okay.
Like out by State College in SDSU. And we're like, no, why are they playing there? We got to go.
Yeah.
So a bunch of us went. I think there was maybe like 7 or 8 of us.
Okay. And just you and your girlfriends?
And so my homeboys.
Okay,
we just powered out there, and maybe like 10 other people showed up. Because it was bad booking,
Yeah.
They should have been at a place that with an opening for a band, supporting a band that was more like them, but they were like everything and nothing else.
Yeah.
But we went there and they played really good, and we were all worried they're never going to come back to San Diego because there's nobody here.
Yeah. And
so afterwards, it was really easy to go up to the stage when they were loading out to go up and talk to them. Cause we just wanted to say how much we loved them. And so we went up, and Lou Dog, the Dalmatian, Brad's Dalmatian, was running back and forth. And
I have a picture with Lou Dog.
Do you?
Yeah, when I was a baby.
Awesome. Yeah. He was a character. I think he thought that the audience was there for him.
Oh, 100%. Sure. My dad said that he was the sweetest, goofiest dog ever.
He was. But he was definitely Brad's dog.
Yes.
One person dog. He would sleep in between us.
Oh, cute.
I think he used to sleeping with the Dalmatian in between us that night. But anyway, so we invited them down to Ocean Beach.
Yeah.
There's a spot called the Jetty, and there's big bonfire pits, and everyone usually hangs out there after a show. And we just didn't want them to go back to Long Beach with such a shitty audience that was at the heavy metal bar.
Yeah.
So they agreed there. All they cared about was our equipment going to be okay? Because they had a truck, and for sure. And so for some reason that night, Brad and I paired off and we're talking, and we're just talking. And I've always been like more of a tomboy and like not a girly girl, and I had a boyfriend who wasn't there that night, but we just talked, and I just thought he was really cool. And then shortly after that, they started getting more shows booked at proper places and getting a huge following, underground following. So every time I go to a show, he'd remember me, and I'd be so tickled, and he'd be like, "It's you," And my boyfriend, and my boyfriend at the time would go, "Your favorite band's playing."
Oh,
I'm well, whatever. He's not even my type.
Oh,
I think he manifested it because I didn't think of him that way at first. We were just really good friends.
Yeah, you were friends.
So they started playing in San Diego a lot, and then the night I broke up with my boyfriend, I went out with my friends who I hadn't seen in a while, and I'm like, "Let's go dancing. We're going dancing."
Yeah.
There's a spot called Ole Madrid.
Okay.
And Ole Madrid was known just for dancing. Well, little did I know they had just built an underground, like on the basement stage for live music. So we're standing in line, and I hear Sublime come on.
Yeah.
And we're waiting to get in. We move up a little bit more, and the next song is Sublime. I'm like, what DJ plays? First of all, Sublime.
Yeah.
So at the time, they didn't play them. Second of all, what DJ plays the same band
twice? Yes.
So I ran up to the door, and I'm like,
who's playing today?
Yeah. And he goes, oh, I go, is that a live band? He goes, well, yeah, the stage downstairs. He goes, I don't know, some band from Long Beach. I'm like, please let me in. Please let me in.
Oh my God.
And I ran down and, had to make my way down through the crowd. And I ran right up to the stage, and he stopped playing halfway through the song. I mean, the band was still playing, but he stopped and he got down on his knees. He's like, it's you. And so brought him home that night. I brought the whole band home that night. And just, come crash out. That was their thing. Yeah. They would usually announce after they were done playing, who's got a couch we can sleep on or a front yard we can post up in. And then we were inseparable after that.
Yeah. And just for the audience, Mama Troy is the sweetest, most kind-hearted person ever. Like, anytime you're in a room, like, you just light up the room, and everybody, I feel like, is just drawn to you. She has such a good presence about her. So that makes sense that he was like, oh my gosh, it's you. Like, it's so cool to be able to
I'm glad
that
we started out as friends, too.
Yeah, you get to know the person, you see them consistently, and then eventually you build a relationship, and you take it off from there. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for having me remember, because it's a good memory.
Yeah. Okay, so love life. You had a boyfriend before, and then how long were you with Brad?
We were friends for about 2 years before that fateful night at Ole Madrid. And then we were together for, I'd say almost 4 years.
Okay.
You know, and then, but we did it all backwards, you know.
That's
we hung
okay.
out for a long time, and then
well,
that's a whole nother story, the Slightly Stupid story.
Want to tell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Slightly Stupid, Miles, the singer, was the 3 boys. It was Adam, Miles, and Kyle.
Yes.
They were from Ocean Beach, and there was a spot in Ocean Beach that used to book Sublime all the time. And this is when we were still just hanging out. It was called, no, it wasn't called Mother's, Dream Street.
Okay.
And then they were playing that night, and Miles's mom, Lori, she somehow got the bouncers to let her drag Miles in. He was only like 16, I think.
Oh,
baby.
Into a bar.
And she's very forceful, you know. And she's like, let me in. I'm his mom. I'll make sure he doesn't drink. She brought him right up to the front of the stage, and then he got to watch the show. And then afterwards, and drug him up to Brad and said, "This is Miles. This is my son. He loves you guys. He's in a band." And Brad was like really touched by that.
Yeah.
And so the next day, he had me drop him off at their band practice. And so he mentored them without really trying, you know. He just liked to hang out with them.
The passion
really
and
they
love.
Were so cool, and they were so young. And they wanted to play music like Sublime.
Sublime, yeah.
And so anytime he'd come to San Diego to hang out, if I had to go to work at the sushi bar the next day, he'd go, drop me off at Miles's, drop me off at band practice. So over the years, I think that's what developed into this new Cali Roots sound. That, you know,
absolutely.
These big festivals that happen every year that sell out 2-3 days. And it's just like 18 bands a day, and it's all Cali vibes, Cali Roots, and it's all the Southern California reggae. And they credit Sublime, but really, I think a lot of them sound like Slightly Stupid.
Yeah.
Because Slightly Stupid was really mentored by
Sublime.
And if all these bands were doing punk rock, hip hop, ska, and reggae, they would sound like Sublime. But I love that they credit Sublime because Brad would have loved that, you know, and rightfully so.
And you knowing the backstory, going back and seeing him take so much time to spend like with them in the band, like that's so touching to. Yeah. I'm a dance teacher, so I'm sure. It's like the same thing when you see somebody and you're like, oh my gosh,
better and better
yes,
and better.
And they like are so passionate. Yes.
Like I saw him when he was like barely even knew other bands, you know, that were influencing Sublime. Like I put on The Clash one time, and he was in my car, and we were driving to Long Beach together with Miles, and he was so young, and he was like, "What is this?" And I go, "You need to know this. If you're going to do music like Sublime, you need to know what influenced them."
Yeah,
you know, and that's the sound of Sublime music is really all of the boys' influences. You know? They tapped into it with that hip hop attitude and philosophy were sampling, you know, and also reggae. Reggae does versions where it's a version of a song that they love, but they change it up. Brad was brilliant at that.
Yeah. I noticed Jake does that sometimes. He'll take a song and he'll make it reggae, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, how did he just do it? Yes, I was like, how did he just do that? That is crazy.